Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the rescheduled village board meeting of September 30th. Please join us in our pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Flores.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Here.
Trustee Willis.
Here.
Trustee Heiferman.
Here.
Trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Roman.
Here.
President Holfeld.
Here. Representing staff this evening, to my left, our village manager, Napoleon Haney. To my right, our village attorney, Chris Cummings. The audience is right. Our finance director, Amy Zukowski. Economic and Community Development Director, Angela Maceras. Public Works Director, Josh Berman. And Assistant Village Manager, Terrence Aqua. The minutes of September 9th, any additions or corrections? Trustee Harris Jones.
Nothing for me.
Trustee Willis.
None.
Trustee Heiferman. Trustee Mason.
Nothing.
Trustee Roman.
No.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Harris Jones. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman. Trustee Mason. Trustee Roman.
Minutes are approved. The claims list in the amount of $589,168.12. Comments or questions? Trustee Harris Jones.
No comments for me.
Trustee Willis.
None.
Trustee Heiferman. Trustee Mason.
No, sir.
Trustee Roman. May I have a motion to approve the claims list, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Willis, second by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones. Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman. Trustee Mason. Trustee Roman.
The claims list is approved. Of that $589,000, two items comprise the majority of that claims list. Our ambulance billing portion to the state of Illinois was $84,000, and our payment to Thorn Creek Sanitary District was $99,000. That came to $188,000, or 1/3 of that claims list. At this time, may I have a motion to approve Marilyn Thomas and Deborah Morton to the Ethics Commission and Lawrence Love to the Events Committee?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Harris Jones. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman. Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Motion is approved. Mr. Love is not here this evening, but Miss Morton and Mrs. Thomas, if you please come up to be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. I state your first name.
I, Marilyn Thomas,
Having been appointed to the Office of Ethics Commission
having been appointed to the Office of Ethics Commission
for the Village of Homewood,
for the Village of
do
Homewood,
solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States. Do
solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the municipal ordinances to the best of my ability.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Ethics Commission to the best of my ability.
You know.
Don't forget.
Marilyn was our village clerk. She knows the oath better than anyone else. Thank you, man. This is what you have to be behind.
Please raise your right hand. I state your first name. Have been appointed to the Office of Ethics Commission for the Village of Homewood. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the municipal ordinances of the Village of Homewood, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Ethics Commission according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Morton. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Morgan. You're welcome.
Hear from the audience. If anyone in the audience would like to address the board on any subject not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Yes, ma'am.
Amy Crump from Homewood. I'm continuing to read excerpts of the book on tyranny by Timothy Snyder. And chapter 12 and 13 were so short that I think I can fit both of them in. Chapter 12, make eye contact and small talk. This is not just about being polite. It is part of being a citizen and a responsible member of society. It is also a way to stay in touch with your surroundings, break down social barriers, and understand whom you should and should not trust. As we enter a culture of denunciation, you will want to know the psychological landscape of your daily life. Tyrannical regimes arose at different times and places in Europe of the 20th century, but the memoirs of their victims all share a single tender moment. Whether the recollection is of fascist Italy in the 20s, Nazi Germany in the 30s, the Soviet Union during the Great Terror, or the purges in communist Eastern Europe in the 40s and 50s, people who were living in fear of repression remembered how their neighbors treated them. A smile, a handshake, or a word of greeting, banal gestures in a normal situation, took on great significance. When friends, colleagues, and acquaintances looked away or crossed the street to avoid contact, fear grew. You might not be sure today or tomorrow who feels threatened in the United States, but if you affirm everyone, you can be sure that certain people will feel better. In the most dangerous of times, those who escape and survive generally know people whom they can trust. Having old friends is the politics of last resort, and making new ones is the first step towards change. Chapter 13, practice corporeal politics. Power wants your body softening in your chair and your emotions dissipating on the screen. Get outside, put your body in unfamiliar places with unfamiliar people, make new friends, and march with them. For resistance to succeed, two boundaries must be crossed. First, ideas about change must engage people of various backgrounds who do not agree about everything. And second, people must find themselves in places that are not their homes and among groups who were not previously their friends. Protests can be organized through social media, but nothing is real that does not end on the streets. If tyrants feel no consequences for their actions in the three-dimensional world, nothing will change. The one example of successful resistance to communism was the Solidarity labor movement in Poland. Its leaders had learned hard lessons under communism. And in 1976, intellectuals and professionals formed a group to assist workers who had been abused by the government. When the Polish workers on the Baltic coast successfully went on strike in 1980, they were successful. During the 16 months that solidarity was legal, 10 million people joined, and countless new friendships were created amid strikes, marches, and demonstrations. And while the Polish communist regime put down the movement with martial law in 1981, 8 years later, they had to turn to solidarity. And this was the beginning of the end of communism in Poland, Eastern Europe, and the Soviet Union. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? If not, the consent agenda, Ms. Flores.
We ask the board to consider a motion to pass, approve, authorize, accept, or award the following items. Approve the reappointments of Brian Quirk and James Sheff to the Appearance Commission for a 3-year term ending on September 30th, 2028. Paul Jordan to the Fire and Police Commission for a 3-year term ending on September 30th, 2028. And Kathy Austin and Raymond Pierre to the Senior Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending on September 30th, 2028. Pass ordinance M 2370 granting a special use permit for massage therapy within Essence Salon Suites in the B4 Shopping Center zoning district to Jamie Cole of Essential Healing Massage at 17956 Halsted Street. Pass and amend ordinance MC 1091, approving the implementation of a 1% municipal grocery retailer's occupation tax and a 1% municipal grocery service occupation tax effective January 1st, 2026. Pass ordinance M 2371, declaring two V-Box salt spreaders as surplus property and authorize the village manager to sell, trade in, or dispose of two V-Box salt spreaders. Authorize the village president to execute an amendment to the redevelopment agreement between Fort of Homewood, Illinois, and the village of Homewood to provide reimbursement for tax increment financing eligible expenses to correct existing drainage issues at 3233 183rd Street in an amount not to exceed $9,935, and to accept the water rate study report completed by Burns and McDonald of Chicago, Illinois, and pass ordinance M 2372, amending the public work fees section of the Homewood fee schedule to reflect the change in the monthly fixed charge to be based on meter size and the increase in volumetric rate billed per 1,000 gallons of water usage to $11.74 in 2026, and an increase of 7.75 to the monthly fixed charges and volumetric rate in 2027.
Any comments or questions from anyone in the audience? Board comments, trustee Harris Jones,
Nothing for me.
trustee Willis, trustee Heiferman.
This, somebody who represents, a central heating massage, are they here tonight? Okay,
Trustee Mason,
No questions.
trustee Roman.
Nothing for me.
May I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, please?
So move.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Willis. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman. Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Consent agenda is approved. Old business, update on the lead service line replacement program. Mr. Berman.
Good evening, board. How's everyone?
Good, how are you?
Good. So we just wanted to bring to your attention where we're at with our program and looking for recommendation on our next steps on how we want to move forward with restoration of this project. So that's all interior, exterior landscaping. There's a representative tonight with Burns and McDonald, Paul Hurley, my guy. He's going to give a little quick presentation, and then any questions from you would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, boy. Keyword too. Thanks for the introduction, Josh. So to bring us up to speed, guys, the Village of Homewood has received a $4.1 million loan from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. Of that, 2.45 million will be forgiven on the principal there. The remaining about 1.6 million will be paid off over the course of a 30-year term at 0% interest here. So got the first part out of the way. We've got the money, but talking about program status and next steps, as well as the scope of the work here. Oh, and we got a funky format here. Okay. So we have prepared a design contract package that will be ready to go out to bid at the end of this week. It has undergone review and comment from the IEPA. Those comments have been incorporated. The village has reviewed and distributed comments as well too. As we're looking at the next steps here, ultimately it's putting a contract package out to bid on the streets, getting that advertised both in the Tribune, Southtown, posting that on the village website, making it accessible to contractors and meeting all of our IEPA bid standards. And then we anticipate opening those bids, receiving and opening those bids in November ahead of the November board meeting as well too, to be able to approve those, knowing that our goal is to be applying for finish our application for this loan to secure the funding for the designated contract amount before the end of the year. Talking about what this work is looking like here, I've got a diagram. We still have some of the funny formatting. I think I must have lost something when I sent it to you, Terrence, but the name of the game is I'm gonna call it 3.5 locations where there'll be disturbance. The first one is in the public right of way where the water main is being excavated there. So in order to tap into the, or tap the new service line, they have to dig down into the water main, install a new tap. From there, they're going to drill a line to the, boundary of the parcel, the property line. And the, right of way, so right about at that sidewalk. And install the shut off valve there. From there, and this is the sort of half work area, they're gonna drill into the structure itself. Most likely into through a wall in a basement or up through a slab on the floor there. In some cases, historically, there's been required an additional excavation on the exterior of the structure. That was at the beginning of a lot of lead service line replacements when those became popular 10 years ago after Flint. Since then, the technology's improved. They've gotten a lot more control over the boring device and they've got a pretty good sense of where that is. So we anticipate most of the lead service lines will be drilled from the street. That being said, all of those places, those yellow boxes that you see on the screen are potential or are restoration areas. So, I think we already talked about this contract package, but in order to perform the work on private property, we have, or the village has prepared an access agreement for residents to sign, execute, allow a contractor to come onto their property to perform this work. Ultimately, we're gonna need those all executed prior to construction activities beginning on each site. Talking about this restoration beginning in the public space, we're gonna be doing permanent pavement patches as they complete each block. If the contractor cannot complete a pavement patch within 14 days of opening up the road, they'll put down a temporary cold patch there so that we're not having too much disruption to drivers. It can be a real teeth chatterer for anybody in the passenger seat there if you're rolling over a lead service line installation that hasn't been paved. Additionally, and we're gonna be placing clamps, not encapsulation clamps, on the existing services where we're gonna be taking those corks out. That's just an additional layer to protect the water main in the future, make sure that hole in the water main where the cork was doesn't leak.
What's shown up here, board, just so you get the pictures there, it's called an encapsulation clamp. When this first kicked off in efforts to not disrupt any lead leaching back into the water supply, what contractors did was they shut the valve off there at the cork and then put an encapsulation clamp on it so it was permanently protected. Methods have gotten better, and so in efforts to kind of save some dollar because these clamps are very expensive, they will be basically taking the cork off. It'll spray water for a period of time, 1-2 seconds. They slide the clamp on, tighten it up, and you'll see what is next to it is your typical clamp that we would repair the water main break with.
Those are permanent.
Permanent, yes, until a future date when we get in there and we do some water main restoration, but that is later to come.
And then moving on to discuss the work on the private property, I think there are a couple options here. Ultimately, what we're proposing and what's in the current contract package is, at least on the exterior side, that we're gonna be restoring 2 grades, so nobody's gonna have a big dip in their yard where they have an excavation. And then the contractor is gonna install hydro seed, which is, you can see it up there on the screen, this gentleman spraying the hose. It's a nutrient dense seed mixture that rapidly grows grass. It's a very cheap application that ultimately is scalable very well for the level of work that we're doing here, and especially in this small area.
We've seen this method become a lot more popular in our industry versus sod, which is costly and requires watering. Initially, contractors might do a period of 7 days where they soak it and make sure it stays wet. But what we have seen is that residents, some water, some say, no, I'm good. And then it browns out and we get the call, hey, you need to come back and restore it, and then it turns into a problem. So what we've seen across the industry is this popular option, which is again, how Paul described it, is a high dense seed mulch mix that stays wet longer when it is saturated and it grows very fast.
Okay.
And then continuing on from the public or from the exterior to discussing interior restorations. Ultimately, what we have in our contract documents is that as a contractor is coring through that hole or coring through that wall or that floor slab, they're going to be installing 2 link seals. This is a mechanical device that swells to plug any annular space between a slab and the pipe itself. They're sort of the top line in the business. Typically, you only install 1. We're calling for 2 and then grouting the space in the middle. It's a little bit of belt and suspenders. However, this, like Josh said, this is another place where if there is a leak, we're calling the contractor back. We're fighting a warranty period on the contract. It gets potentially expensive very quickly. And the final point here is that the limits on the restoration in the contract package on the interior structures is very much limited to just restoring the core through the wall or the sawed off portion of the floor slab there as well too. That we don't anticipate replacing wall paneling or anything that you might see in a finished basement there. Now, typically what we're looking at are examples like this, small cutouts in a floor slab, a small wall penetration you can see on the right side. But of course, these are all pictures from unfinished basements. The alternative that Josh and I have been talking through, we're talking about sod instead of hydro seed as the top line alternative. But as we're running into people's basements, we don't know what those look like before we bid that out. Oh yeah.
There's a lot of people's basements are different, right? Some are finished, some are unfinished. The examples we show here are semi-unfinished basements where it would be restored to a reasonable method where it would be smooth, but you would see the concrete patch. In a finished basement, dependent on when that restoration or build out was done, we can run into issues where materials aren't made anymore. Tiles don't match, flooring doesn't match. It was what's the word I'm looking, paneling versus drywall. And so in efforts to make things nice, it would be presentable, but a full restoration, our recommendation would be back to the resident to patch as they would see fit.
And I think the last note with regards to restoration is, we're seeing the costs of a full lead service line replacement come in above $10,000 per structure right now. Some places like Chicago are throwing around 35,000 per structure. They've got some additional permitting and requirements up there, but this is an asset that's being given to residents as well too. I think with that,
Overall cost of the project, what Paul was getting to is there's a lot of that we're putting into the small piece for a resident to take on to patch back to what they would like to see finished is a small cost versus what we were taking care of. That was the point we were trying to get to.
If there's one last thing I would add to it, this is something that we talked about through the access agreement, that residents don't have to participate. We're gonna have them sign an access agreement that, basically waives their right if they want this work done. If they, they give us pushback on restoring their basement, they can decline and then have it done at a later time when they have to sell their house, but it's something that we're not forcing. So if they want the service, we would do it, but they could do it at a later date.
Tonight's recommendation from the board on what direction we move forward with the restoration will be clearly spelled out in an access agreement with I check my box at my address that, yes, I want this done and I'm gonna participate, or what it clearly says. Or I'm not comfortable with you being in my house. I don't wanna worry about what type of restoration at all is gonna be happening. I'm checking no, and I'm looking to opt out, and that covers us with the state. And then there will be obviously protections that we probably put in as little check boxes for finance for, you know, new client, new water bill, someone that just moves into town, hey, just something to be aware of. There's one line.
It's also important. It's also important to remember that these protocols are not ours. We're not creating new protocols. We're not coming up with some off the wall protocols. These are protocols that other communities in Illinois are following. We're paying close attention to LaGrange Park. We've been on the phone with them and their engineer. No offense. Many times just to kind of get some feedback. Also, Brookfield, the building of Brookfield. So we're using some of these communities to help guide us, so to make sure that we're right in the line with the standards that most communities are implementing.
And these communities are also in the thick of it right now. They're actively doing these replacements, so that we're using them as a resource to the Napoleon's point.
Well, you had said that you estimate the cost to be about $10,000 per home.
Currently, right now, that's kind of like the average, again, based on competitive bidding, but like if I were to do it myself right now in my house, I'm probably looking at 13 to 15,000 just as a one.
Okay, but that's what you're estimating to be the village cost. And you're talking about doing in the first year, which would be next year, 267 homes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And these are the ones that are most urgent to be addressed. I shouldn't say homes, buildings.
Priority buildings, correct.
And what are those?
Those are made up of schools, home health care, or daycare, excuse me, public facilities, library, senior citizen, or senior living. Did I miss any?
You hit the core.
I hit the core,
Okay.
there we go.
Yeah.
And that would be the bulk of the 267.
Correct, and once those are captured, then it turns into, what's the word I'm looking for?
Low moderate.
Yes.
So this would be the start. You say that we have over 4,300 lead lines in town. So this would be the start, doing 267 next year. The bids go out and you expect the returns to be in November, did you say?
Yes.
They have to be out for a period of time. We have to capture a 3-week or 4-week.
3 weeks the minimum.
We were trying to go longer. We were trying to get competitive with being out with, you know, we can fish a little bit more. So, but yes, first week, second week in November, we'll have bids back.
November should always be a good time. Contractors should always hungrier in the winter time.
Yeah.
When would work begin in your estimate?
I anticipate March 15th,
So, okay, early spring.
early spring. A lot of that's gonna be dependent on how many signature or how many access agreements we collect in that time. How many people agree to have contractors enter or on their property.
There might be a strategy too, where depending in the winter, we might be able to scout a little bit and kind of get ahead of it, to kind of get eyes on. That was a strategy that we thought about, or I thought about a week or two ago, that I was gonna bring up to our next meeting, but perfect time, and then when it's snowing out, work's not gonna begin, but we can get eyes on inside
When will you be seeking access agreements?
right away. As soon as possible, you know, that's gonna be the key. That's the key to the door to get in and to do this work.
It would be foolish if say a resident didn't participate, because it certainly affects the value of their home if they were to sell it. What you're looking for this evening is option 1 or option 2, your direction, correct?
Or direction on what
Yeah.
to move forward with, yes, sir.
Okay, and the basic difference is full restoration versus basic regulation, restoration.
Full restoration all in, bells and whistles, versus a very base restoration with some involvement in the public, right?
Andy, you mentioned LaGrange Park, Brookfield. What are they doing on restoration?
The exact same thing. Typically, what you find is the larger communities that don't have a lot of meters and that have a lot of money, they will go all in. Like Orland Park, they only have a few meters, what, Cussel? 6. How many?
Or you can count them on 2 hands.
They go all in, full restoration, but communities that have 4,000, 3,000 something meters, you just can't afford to do full restoration of a finished basement for every.
Part of that too is that the savings by not, we can do more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What, the IEPA loans that we're getting, how secure are they considering the federal government's retraction of monies?
was gonna say, we got like 3 more hours left, right, before potential federal shutdown. No, that's a great question. So this year, 2026, it is 100% secure. 2027, we still need to apply for that, but we're pretty confident that the money is still gonna be there. The EPA has set up a program such that the individual amounts allocated to Illinois specifically run out after 27. However, the unspent funds that have been allocated nationally to places, California, for example, doesn't have very many lead service lines, but a disproportionate amount of the population for lead service lines. The unspent money in California will come back to the EPA in 2028 and then be redistributed to places that have demonstrated need. Theoretically, that's where Illinois' next windfall of state funding for lead service lines will come from.
With the rhetoric that's going on now, let's hope so. That is amazing. So what you're looking for tonight is option 2 as your alternative. All right. Or, excuse me, comments from anyone in the audience? Yes, ma'am.
So if a property owner was to decide that they didn't want the interior stuff, would they still get the part that's the public?
Any resident that says, no, I do not want to participate,
Right,
the village is still responsible for going up to the Buffalo box.
Okay.
Box. We would still do that portion.
right,
Beyond that, we turn basically back into our current standings of
right.
what the owner or resident owns.
Okay, and then the second question I have is, from what I'm understanding, the first year will be focusing on buildings. And then in 2027, you're talking about focusing on houses. How are you deciding what's gonna be done in 2027?
2027.
Where is the work?
2027 beyond is we're gonna try and correlate some of those efforts with areas we're doing water main improvements at, so that it's basically a one and done. Get the water taken care of and then road surface gets put in. So we're trying to have limited disruption.
Right,
And also capture as many zones as possible in a tidy manner. So
right,
we're not going all over back and
right.
forth.
Work smart rather than.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're trying to schedule that in accordance.
All right, so you're basically, you don't know yet.
We kind of have an idea, but I wouldn't want to be quoted right now.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out how people will know. Will they know before they get like the access agreement,
So year
what's
one,
gonna be?
year one is gonna be kind of, we're just gonna call it our pilot, our learning, right? Beyond that, we're gonna have a game plan with using our GIS, our webpage, communication,
Excellent.
events and stuff, talking about it. It's gonna be a very vocal thing.
Great, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Not board comments, Trustee Harris
I
Jones.
have a question. You showed a slide that showed basements. What about if someone's on a slab?
So the contractor before any work, to our understanding from the communities that we reached out to, they will basically reach out to the resident. They'll schedule an appointment that they'll be home, they can get in, get access and get eyes on.
Mhm.
They will then mark out the area that they're gonna basically disrupt, and it's gonna be trying to be as minimal as possible. They'll locate where the meter's at, they'll put a locate, and then the next day, they'll then cut out and make big efforts to have the drill then come in the following day. Everything's gonna be trying to be like leapfrog. We're gonna prep, drill, and so whether it's a slab, whether it's a crawl space, whether it's coming out of the wall, whether it's a finished basement, whether it's in the middle of the home or exterior wall, they're gonna locate it and create the best path that's necessary.
And I think that middle photo, while it is a basement, you're right about that, but it's still coming out of the slab of the basement there.
Mhm.
So you can see they're limited to an 18 by 18 inch square there that ultimately they will backfill, like they're gonna drill through and then backfill with wrap or concrete to solidify that.
Trustee Willis.
Well, thank you for explaining all this. I was looking at the 2 options, and although would love to do option 1 for everyone, with a project this big, those costs just wouldn't be predictable and not feasible, so.
It'd be much different if you're doing a project just in one little street.
Right.
Being village wide, it's not gonna be. a
Yeah,
huge
it's just
big lift.
huge, so option 2 seems like what we have to go with.
Option two, I agree also.
Trustee Heickman.
I agree. I do have a question. If a property owner declines and we go up to the Buffalo box and they decide 2 years later, they still live there, they want to participate later, what will the responsibility be?
That's something we could definitely evaluate, and that's happened in some communities. Some communities have given that grace period to allow for residents, because it's scary. It's, you know, allows for some residents to kind of come to grips with this project, and we would definitely circle back and do the work.
Let's say a new homeowner is there and the previous resident declined. Will we come in and do the work for the new homeowner at our expense?
If we're still in the area, if we have contractors out on site, we can definitely schedule it. Now it's going to be an additional cost, because now logistically, you're going to take a contractor that's on the other side of town and someone to mobilize to come do this one house. So it's going to be expensive, but if they can catch the program in time that contractors are still on the ground, we can get it done.
I can speak to that for a bit, because in my other life, we do a lot of real estate. One of the things that's going to happen though, if a property owner declines, one of the things they're required to do under state law is to disclose that there is a lead service line. So it's a dangerous concentration of lead. So whoever's buying that property is going to take it knowing that. And frequently what happens is that if a buyer sees that, they're going to want the homeowner to fix it before they sell it,
Or money.
or money to fix it themselves.
I'm concerned that it'll involve us at that point
Mhm.
and get into complications of a real estate transaction. It would be nice that if we were to define it clearly upfront, so that a seller becomes responsible, perhaps at their own expense, but it should be defined. We shouldn't leave it vague.
We don't do point of sale inspections.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm
we would-
like over here thinking that this is gonna blow up, like. Nobody answers correctly on this disclosure form. Somebody's gonna show up and, sorry to jump the line here, but somebody's gonna show up to fill out their new water bill and find out after they just bought a house. That they now have this responsibility, and then the village is gonna say, sorry. We can't help you.
But we should have those decisions made up front rather than coming up with an answer down the road.
We did include in the access form notice to the current property owner that they're obligated under state law to disclose this defect.
And
So-
perhaps to correct it.
I didn't say that.
We
What I
can't
said is
disclose.
that we can't require them to do that, but the point is that they're on notice that they have an obligation to report this. So if they fill out the form wrong and the current buyer, you know, it takes this not knowing what's going on, then at that point, they're gonna have a cause of action, a lawsuit against the people that sold them the property for failure to disclose and knowing it's a material defect to the property.
And what are we gonna do when they knock on his office door asking to correct this? Are we going to have a policy in advance?
I think we cover ourselves by putting it in the letter.
I think the manager spoke to the fact that, you know, it's gonna be on a, we don't know at this point. I mean, we'll try to address it. There might, if they're already in the neighborhood, then maybe that's the situation. If they've got to marshal forces all over again to come in and do some, repair something that somebody else failed to disclose, then probably not. But we'll try to do the best we can, but we did lean forward and make sure that the current property owner, they're not obligated to do this. It's a request, but they're also getting something of substantial value that otherwise they would have to pay for themselves. And that's the village's point here. We're trying to rectify it overall, but ultimately it's going to be up to the property owner whether they cooperate or not.
And remember, this is a 10-year program. So if someone declines this program, they may get moved to the back of the line to year 9 or year 10, if we're still mobilized at that time. And we haven't heard a lot of communities discuss this where people are declining. Some people, yes, but for the most part, people understand that this is critical. So they want this to happen, especially if it's a $10,000, $12,000 cost that they don't have to endure. So.
Can I piggyback on that, Napoleon? This is more like a 2027 problem, but the village is actually obligated to reach out to new home owners that have purchased a home that has declined lead service line replacement within 6 months of the home purchase and make them aware that there will be work going on lead service line replacements. Napoleon, that's gonna be something we're probably gonna sneak into a change order.
I understand.
Yeah,
Again, and he's saying it may be expensive because we've left that area, so we'll figure it out.
yeah,
We
that might
have
be
10
one of the
years to figure it out.
$30,000 ones instead of $10,000 ones.
Anything else, trustee Headland?
No.
Trustee Mason?
Yeah, so let me understand, I understand the responsibility of the current homeowner to do what they have to do, but if I'm a homeowner, if I'm purchasing a home. And they've declined and they filled out the application incorrectly, and I take ownership of this property. Now I'm stuck between between this rock and this hard place where I may have a high concentration of lead water in my home with my new family, and I have to go through the legal system. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the other, I represented a number of homeowners in the past too. The problem that they're gonna run in, and not, there's a provision in that law, not only do you go for damages, but there's also a provision to recover attorney's fees. As a home seller, you don't want to go there, because
Right.
it can be expensive for you. So, but yes, that is going to be an issue.
Yeah. I did have a couple other questions, I believe. The 4.1 is what we received from the loan for this. Will that cover all of the work for the first 267? Okay, perfect. Also, and not that I want to rattle the cart, but how's forgiveness determined? Do we know?
The principal forgiveness?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite question. No, yeah, and so to piggyback on your first question to trustee Mason, you know, we will know whether or not we're covered by the loan once we get those bids in November. Right now, we're predicting that, but I can't commit to that at this point. At the same time, we go back to the IEPA and we show them the bids and say, you approved us for this plan. This is what the bids came in at. We're asking for this much money now. So I can't commit that we're gonna be covered in 100% by the loan, but we should be covered mostly, and if there's any overage there, we can go back to the IEPA and ask for more too. That will be a December undertaking. How is principal forgiveness determined is a great question. And so ultimately the US Census breaks down its operations by what they call census tracts, which more or less are kind of square shaped or rectangular shaped boxes that cover the state of Illinois. As we were looking at those census tracts, they become really relevant because the IEPA provides principal forgiveness and a higher score to communities with lead service in what they call disadvantaged census tracts.
Okay.
Which really just means median household income below the average of the state of Illinois. It's about $77,000. I don't feel like the disadvantaged title is kind of a misnomer. It's really just less than the state median income. Those rectangles don't align with municipal boundaries. The border between sort of two sets of rectangles, a handful going north and a handful going south, is 183rd Street in Homewood. So we selected lead service line locations that fell into those northern census tracts that were categorized as disadvantaged during the 2020 census, knowing that we would get principal forgiveness up front while we were confident in the funding, as well as the 0% interest loans and score higher in that regard.
Okay.
So some of our boxes extend into Hazel Crest, some of our census boxes extend into even up into Markham, which then qualifies.
Yeah.
That's
I
those
got it.
points.
So it's not just for Homewood.
Correct.
Yeah.
Census.
Got it. Do we have any idea how long each home is gonna take how long will these workers be in?
Inside the home itself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's $1 million question. We've been hearing between like 2 and 4 hours is what contractors are reporting. No offense to contractors, but they sometimes work on a different time frame than I use.
Yeah.
So, I mean, ultimately, we're expecting one crew to do as many as 2 to 4 houses per day.
Okay.
When they're really getting rolling there.
Okay.
So,
A lot of that has to do too with the prep. If you get inside the house, you talk to the resident, you go in there, you prep your work area, you dig down. The next morning, when that drill comes in, it's a shot, pulls copper, and they're on to the next one. And now you have the contractor working inside to hook up all the plumbing.
Okay, and our goal is to get multiple contractors, not just one group. If we can get 2 contractors working, it just speeds up the process and increase the competition of who's faster, who's more efficient. So we'll know next time who to.
We're gonna have the lead line copper belt.
Also, there's a requirement for contractors also. It can't be just any plumbing contractor.
There's a lot that, no, you're 100% correct. There is a lot of competition out there right now. We got a lot of, from our meetings we've had, a lot of vendors are gonna be reaching directly to with even the solicitation of bid, in hopes that they be competitive with us as well. So there's some really good numbers out there with some of those contractors currently.
and ultimately, the requirement for state funding requires specific disclosures from the contractor too. So, I mean, you need to have a clean and well-functioning book to be able to be working on a state-funded project.
Does the state have a list of qualified contractors?
That's a good question. They probably,
They don't, they should.
right,
You know?
for lead service lines. I can't say that I've gotten eyes on that list. But I don't think that, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
We should reach out to the IEPA and find that out.
It's an easy email.
I'm good,
Trustee
thank you
Rowan?
guys.
Thank you.
I have lots of thoughts and questions about the new homeowners, but I feel like I need to think on it more. I guess one question is, can we require a final water reading, or is that a home rule thing? Before the point of sale? Attorney Cummings?
You mean require the village to do?
Like oftentimes attorneys will ask me, does Homewood require a final water reading? And I always say, no, we don't.
We should.
But if we do,
We do a final
do
reading.
do a
If we're
final-
notified,
Amy,
we do a final reading.
Mhm.
Um, do a
but what
final-
makes it required? Some villages, I bet it's whether or not we have transfer stamps.
Mhm.
And if
Right.
we don't have transfer stamps, it's not required because it can't, because then the title won't require.
Or some kind of pre-sale inspection, not always
Right.
transfer stamps, but some kind of pre-sale inspection.
Right, okay, so.
We don't do
if
point
we're-
of sale inspection, I'm sorry.
Right, right, because that's home rule.
Correct.
Right. So if we are asked for a final water reading, that's when we can notify them, by the way, there is this open item of the lead line was never replaced, right? We could send a notice with the final water reading.
Well, it should be before then, because usually that could be a day or two before the closing.
Right, but
Then
at
it's-
least then the buyer. I mean, we're gonna hope that every seller fills out their disclosure correctly and doesn't lie. If they don't.
Right.
At least then the buyer will have an opportunity to know before they close on their property that this is an open issue at their house,
Mhm.
their new house.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one way we can try and fix it. The other thing I was thinking is just having like an open document, kind of like we have now. But maybe a little bit more obvious for people like house, I don't know, I'm workshopping this as I go. Like something so that we can easily access information, we being realtors, who can easily access information on the website that says they didn't do it.
So not only not that they didn't do it, but right now we have a GIS map. And so that is very active, very live, reachable on our webpage.
Mhm.
So for realtors that know, they can go to this map, look at the layer, look at the property address and say, oh, hey, this is marked down as an unknown, which automatically gets cataloged as lead, or it is lead, and it's something to then share with their buyer.
Okay,
Are you seeing, I just have a question while you're on.
Yeah.
With real estate, are you seeing a lot of people doing home inspections? Like, and I asked that because being that this is one of the biggest things happening in our country, that's a big point of contention for a home inspector going in, that's gonna be something on their brain, not only checking the attic and the roof for leaks
Right.
and stuff. Hey,
Right.
do you know this is a lead line?
You're like, I wrote down questions and you were answering them as I was writing them down, and that was one of my thoughts too, is educating home inspectors and educating realtors, like. We were talking years ago about doing a realtor workshop type of a thing. Yes, every buyer gets a home inspection. Educating them on how they can figure out if it has been done or hasn't been done. I think all of that is a great idea. Okay, and then one thing that I wanted to tell you from my experience is you might want to be prepared for running into asbestos tile in these basements if you haven't already put that in your estimates. And then I was curious I have a feeling you're not gonna need a lot of demo based on a lot of the basements and where I see them placed, but I haven't been in every single basement, but who does the demo work? Like if the water meter is in like a little cubby or something in a finished basement, who's actually gonna go in there? The plumber is gonna go in there and cut out the.
Part of the access is that a homeowner will, like, if we have it right now, if we have a non-read or we need to go check our meter. Residents supposed to provide us access to the area of the meter. Depending on if he's demolition or not, the homeowner chooses to do it themselves to lessen the load or strain on whatever needs to be removed. Or if it's just walling, like paneling and whatnot. That'll be on the contractor that will come in, prep their work area, and then they begin. To circle back real quick on your asbestos question, that is something that I did bring up, because I ran through it at my house. When there is, we're not doing any asbestos testing, but if there is any thought that that could be, what we've seen based on conversations we've had with other contractors, they actually will relocate where, let's say it's coming up from the ground. They'll actually choose a wall penetration so that it's completely away, so that it's not disrupted, because that's the number one thing with asbestos, you don't disrupt it.
Right.
So that's, people are already thinking about that, so that is on our radar.
Okay, great. Okay, I think that's everything.
All right, with all that being said, I have a motion to adopt option 2 restoration policy for lead line replacement.
So
Second.
It's moved by trustee Willis, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Hyperman. Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
New business. Liquor license request for My Way Holdings, Ms. Zakowski.
My Way Holdings LLC has requested a class 4A liquor license for their, hopefully their new location at 2059 Ridge Road. A class 4A liquor license allows the retail sale of any alcoholic liquor for on-premises consumption only for establishments with a bar, and no more than 25% of the annual gross receipts can be from alcohol sales. The Liquor Commissioner supports issuing this requested license. And My Way Holdings, I believe, is currently under contract to purchase the property and businesses that are currently operated as Primo's Cafe and the Ridgewood. If the board is in favor of the request, staff will be directed to begin that liquor application process. After My Way Holdings successfully completes all of the steps required to obtain the liquor license and a permit for outdoor sales, we would bring an ordinance to increase the number of allowed class 4A liquor licenses and issue a permit for outdoor sales for My Way Holdings at a future board meeting. So the applicants are here if you'd like to come forward and answer any questions and provide some background on.
Mr. Grossman.
Yes, sir. My name's Ed Grossman. I'm the attorney for My Way Holdings, Inc. Before going any further, I want to thank you for putting us on what seems to be a pretty busy agenda for you folks, and I appreciate that. My Way Holdings, as was stated, is looking to do a couple of things. They're looking to purchase the property at 2057 to 2059 Ridge Road, and in doing so, we met with Mr. Hofeld and Ms. Maceros, and they wanted us to assure them of two things. One, that they'd be good neighbors, and two, that they would meaningfully contribute to the business community here in Homewood. So my clients are about to explain how they're going to do that. They have a business plan they'll pass out to you that you can, if you haven't already seen it, it might, looks like maybe you have it there, but I'll have them pass that out to you. And some of the issues that I hope that will be highlighted are how parking will be handled, noise, and then things that interface with the people of Homewood and with their neighbors, such as parking and, you know, caliber of food and caliber of entertainment, and how those things are going to be handled. So with that, and also Mr. Donkel is here, who is the current seller. He's the owner of it and selling to my clients under, we're under contract, and we're waiting to close to see if, of course, they get appropriate licenses to operate the premises. So with that, I'll introduce my client. They're a father and son team of My Way Holdings, and they'll come up and give you a copy of the business plan and talk a little bit about how they're going to be operating this business.
Thank you.
Mr. Phillips, it's all yours.
Well, I'm not the spokesman for the group, but that's our job, but, my name is Rodney Phillips. I'm a, long time Homewood resident, 20 years. Been in the neighborhood, so been with, we're talking about neighbors, very good neighbors. I think the mayor's been by my house a number of times, campaigning and, but yeah, so yeah, I've been so we this is a lifelong, this is a concept and idea that we've had for our family legacy. I'm retired, Cook County, the sheriff, and me and my wife, it's something that we trying to establish with our family to bring, you know, to the Homewood area. Like I said, we've been living there, so we seeing a concept, an opportunity to have something to branch out with our brand.
So basically, the 2059 building will operate as it has always operated in terms of the 4 residential properties. And then 2 businesses at the bottom. One is a cafe and the other is a bar. We expect that the cafe is going to take on new ownership and that the bar will be ran by my dad. We've added parking by valet service, so that after 5 o'clock, those cars can be parked either in the metro lot or one of the other lots in the area. We've also introduced, we haven't introduced ourselves to the neighbors, but we expect to introduce ourselves to the neighbors. Coming up soon. There's a lot of questions that I can answer, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But feel free to ask anything that you may.
I just want to highlight, I had heard, and I think it's true, that there were going to be 25 additional parking spots created by making a one-way on Harwood there. So I don't know, those spots might be helpful to alleviate any concern about overcrowding in terms of parking. Okay, heard that, but hopefully that's true.
I think the metro lot would suffice.
Yes, and that's what the
Correct.
valet service will park cars over there. And then once the.
Tell us about My Way, what it's going to be. You talked about the Frank Sinatra concept.
Yes, the concept is basically a jazz concept where we'll be providing jazz music, we'll be providing a little piano music. Very small, very quaint, not anything big, but kind of my dad's, thing is with the jazz and with, Frank Sinatra. So we're gonna follow that footstep. Offer some traditional meals, something along the short ribs and things of that nature. It's a really great event. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
That's all right, you're amongst friends.
And so we'll be doing live music. We'll be having a couple live jazz artists there, 1 or 2, maybe even a 3-piece in the back of the bar there. And it'll be just a fun time for people to come by and just indulge in what we have.
The one thing when we spoke with you, talk to your neighbors because you have to share the parking in the back. You share the trash, the apartments as well,
Right.
and you want to be a good neighbor. So that's very important.
Right, and that's what we plan to do, but we want to kind of get past this point first to make sure that we.
Sure. Okay, any comments or questions from anyone in the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Jazz, when do you open?
Well, we expect that if we get approved and we get everything finalized in the village, maybe 30 to 45 days.
Maybe before the holiday.
Right before the Christmas season, yeah.
Any other comments? Board comments, Trustee Harris Jones,
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It sounds fantastic.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Trustee Willis,
Yeah, same,
Okay.
can't wait.
Yeah.
Trustee Heisterman,
I'm excited to. Thank you, here. Thank you. Thank you.
Trustee Mason,
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Trustee Roman.
I have a couple of questions. Will there be a lapse, like will the bar and cafe shut down in between ownership and, okay,
No, what we're doing is that if we were to get an approval, we already have our concept and everything ready to go with the printer. So we'll be able to change those names right away, but we'll be able to stay in operations for a short period of time underneath the whole ownership as well.
okay. And I'm sorry if you said this when you mentioned the valet, is it complimentary valet or will there be?
It's complimentary value.
Okay, I think that's amazing. I
Yeah.
think that will really help get people into your business and help with the parking situation that we
Yeah.
have in downtown.
Yeah, I think we noticed that it's a little busy on that corner with the
Yeah.
multiple businesses and plus the Stony Bar and Grill is the opposite end. We
Mhm.
figured this would be a good way to get people down to us. So we have-
Complimentary valet is Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, Thursday through Sunday.
Right, okay, great.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I'm excited to have you guys here and thank you for investing in our community and I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, this is another offering that we offer in the downtown.
Mhm.
Terrific.
It's gonna be great.
We wish you everything good. With all that being said, may I have a motion to direct staff to issue draw up a class 4 liquor license for My Way Holdings?
So move.
Second?
Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Roman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Hyperman.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Motion is approved. We'll see you at our next meeting
Thank you, sir.
for formal approval.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, really.
Sunday, James.
General board discussion, trustee Harris Jones.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. This has been a very informative meeting. I hope everyone, saw our vision and that you would agree with us about the lead line replacement.
Trustee Willis,
Thanks to everybody here tonight.
trustee Heisterman,
Thank you, everyone here.
trustee Mason.
Enjoy these final couple of warm days that we've been getting, and I think we're on borrowed time. Everyone stay safe and thank you for coming out.
Trustee Roman.
Than're you guys. You're our regulars. Thanks for being here.
I have two items. Today was Homewood's most seniors 111th birthday. Mary Cantway celebrated. I was at a luncheon that she was at. I think she's sharper than most people. The woman is absolutely amazing. So we were at Bellagio's for lunch and I said, save it for next year as well. So hopefully that'll come about as well. Second thing, Homewood apples are in my orchard. On Saturday, I invite everyone to come on in. I have Red Delicious and I have John Gold apples. It'll be first come, first serve. They're fantastic this year. Bumper crop, already picked at least 8 bushels of apples. So Homewood apples are in, coming on Saturday, get your apples. With that, may I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss purchase or lease of real property and also the setting a price for the sale or lease of property. May I have such a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Heiferman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Here?
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trust-
Sorry, aye,
Oh,
aye.
trustee Hyperman. Trustee Mason. Trustee Roman.
We stand adjourned from regular session. Thank you all for being here.